One day until the election and tensions are running high across this country. I feel you, those of you who are writing to us and saying your anxiety is off the charts. Take a breath. But I want you to look at this video. It shows a group of Trump supporters surrounding a Biden campaign bus on its way to an event in San Marcos, Texas. On Friday, the FBI says it is investigating the incident, but we don't know more than that. But instead of condemning the act, the president is defending his supporters, writing in part this: "In my opinion, these patriots did nothing wrong. Instead, the FBI and Justice Department should be investigating the terrorists, anarchists, and agitators of Antifa." The chaos then spread to New York and New Jersey yesterday when a caravan of Trump supporters blocked traffic on two major roadways. Officials in several cities are preparing for violence that they fear could break out this week, boarding up windows and running police drills. Joining me now to discuss, former Secretary of Homeland Security and former Pennsylvania Governor Tom Ridge. Governor Ridge, the president's first reaction was to criticize the FBI for investigating this. Can you imagine if this same people were, let's say, Black Americans? Would the president have the same response?
You know, Stephanie, you and I had the pleasure of communicating from time to time over the past couple of months, and I'm afraid that nothing this president does ever surprises, but he continues to disappoint. I mean, the mere fact, and I've been privileged to have 8 elections in my background, and I always thought it was about ideas. And for the president to insist that his campaign isn't about persuasion, it's about repudiation, it's about intimidation. I want to restate that again. It's not about politics is about persuasion, not intimidation. That's what he's doing in Texas. And instead of repudiating what he saw, he's congratulating him. It's unconscionable in my mind. It's outrageous. But why are we surprised?
Okay, then we're not surprised. But does it worry you how the president could respond to possible violence that could break out in the wake of the election?
Absolutely. This is the president of the United States. We're not talking about some emerging democracy in a third world country. This is a president who has had the opportunity for 4 years to convince Americans that he deserves a second term. And so it is quite clear that he's unsure whether or not that 3+ years of experience gets him there legitimately. And so it's not become a question of persuading, it's become a question of intimidating. It's become a question of division. It's a question of chaos, which is hardly what Americans should expect. And I would say, I think, Stephanie, there are probably very few voters, even today, that are undecided when they go to the polls tomorrow. But if there are a few undecided voters out there, maybe this issue in and of itself, that the fact that the president would congratulate rather than repudiate publicly his supporters for trying to intimidate voters across this country, if that isn't the last straw, I don't know what is.
Well, there are a lot of voters out there that aren't undecided. There are people who are voted already and they're worried their votes won't count. In your home state of Pennsylvania, those absentee, those mail-in ballots don't even start getting counted until tomorrow. We're not going to get those numbers by early in the evening or even late in the evening. How worried are you about how the president is responding to this?
Well, I'm disappointed again. I mean, am I worried? No, it's beyond being worried. It's about disappointment. It's about his creating unnecessary chaos and anxiety. The only thing I know is that in 2 statewide elections, you got Republican and Democrats at the local level. They're guardians of the democracy. They're not going to start processing these ballots until tomorrow. And what the president knows, and even the president's supporters know, and I would call on his supporters, and he's got quite a few of them, and this is a swing state. That's why both candidates are spending so much time here. They know that with the pandemic and that there's an unprecedented number of absentee ballots and they're going to have to be paid. What's happened in Pennsylvania, Stephanie, is that because of a Supreme Court ruling, all the ballots that are received by today, whether they've either dropped off or been mailed, they'll be counted. The others received Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are going to be segregated. So it's going to take a while in Pennsylvania. But by the way, the final newsflash to the president and to his supporters: candidates don't declare victories. It's not about the candidate. The states go about it. And depending on the state, it could be 2 days to certify, up to 30 days to certify. So I guess we ask all Americans, whether you're a rabid Trump supporter, or a Biden supporter. It's not over until it's over. And when it's over, it's when 50 states certify their election. No candidates, no matter what they say, can declare victory. It's a federal system, folks. The states will do it. They've been doing it historically. They do it well. Be patient. Let every vote, legitimate vote be counted.
You've been telling us this for months. This is voting season. We're going to have to wait for all the votes to be counted. But just yesterday, one of the president's campaign advisors was talking about how election night could play out. And I want you to see what he said.
They believe that President Trump will be ahead on election night, probably getting 280 electorals, somewhere in that range. And then they're going to try to steal it back after the election.
Steal it back? What on earth is he talking about? You have half the people in this country that watch conservative media, and they hear messages like that.
Well, I would say to all those people who embrace that point of view, it's a shameful embrace of an outrageous position. And you're basically saying you're willing to disenfranchise military, you're willing to disenfranchise seniors, you're willing to disenfranchise millions of Americans who don't want to go to the polls because of the COVID, because of the pandemic that's killed, by the way, 100,000 Americans. And you just can't listen to that nonsense. It should be ignored. It is beyond the pale for anybody supporting any candidate to suggest that the system under which we operate successfully, peacefully, for hundreds of years is under duress because of a president who's afraid of losing and wants to create the kind of chaos and anxiety around a system that is designed to let America's voice be heard. Our voices will be heard. We need to be patient. And it's not up to the candidates and all their supplicants and all their enablers to decide who wins on election night. It's up to the 50 states. It's been that way, Mr. President, for decades. It will continue to be that way, Mr. President. It's not about intimidation.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.